We like to think we have a pretty good map of how the world works. But what if that map is just wrong? What if it's leading us right towards the edge of a cliff, and the only way to survive is to get a completely new way of seeing our planet and our place on it? So let's just jump right in with a really big question. With everything going on in the world, all these huge global crises, are nations even playing the right game anymore? Seriously, that's the core puzzle we're going to try and unpack here.
Okay, so for a long time, the way we've thought about how countries interact, it's basically been like a giant game of chess. You know the drill. It's this huge strategic battleground. Every nation is a player, and they're all just trying to outmaneuver each other.
And the rules of that old game? Super simple, really. It was totally zero-sum. For me to win, you have to lose. That's it. It was just this constant scramble for more power, more resources, more control. The whole point was just to get ahead, and it didn't really matter what it cost the other guy.
But here's the thing. Something's changed. It's like these new players have just stormed onto the chessboard, and they couldn't care less about the old rules. And all of a sudden, this game we thought we knew, well, it's starting to look unwinnable for everybody. So what's the first game changer? Climate collapse. Think about it. This is a threat that just doesn't care about our borders or our flags or how much money a country has. It's a threat to the entire system. It's hitting every single player on that board, all at once.
And it's not just the climate. Then you've got pandemics. I mean, we've all just lived through this, right? A virus doesn't stop to check your passport. It just drives home this new reality. We are all so connected. A threat to one country could become a threat to literally everyone, like overnight. So this all leads to a really crucial question, doesn't it? If the biggest, scariest threats out there are shared by all of us, then does the whole idea of an enemy nation even make sense anymore? Is that concept just obsolete?
This is exactly why we need a totally new way to see things. And there's this new theory. It's called Symbiotic Realism, proposed by Albert, and it offers just that. It's a pretty radical way to reframe, well, everything. Okay, so what is symbiotic realism? Well, instead of looking at the world as a bunch of countries all competing with each other, try this. Picture the entire planet as one single giant living organism. And each country, it's not a competitor. It's more like an organelle. You know, like a cell in your body, a specialized part that has a job to do inside this much bigger living system. And right here, you can see just how huge this shift in thinking is. The old game, the old rivalry, was always State A versus State B. But in this new view, the real rivalry, the one that actually matters for our survival, is the human species versus our environment.
This new way of seeing things really forces us to make a pretty stark choice. If the planet is a single living body, then what role are our nations playing inside it? Are they healthy parts, helping the whole thing function? Or are they something way more destructive?
And this leads us right to the heart of the theory, its core idea. And it's a really powerful and, honestly, a kind of unsettling analogy for the world we live in today.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. Think about how cancer works. The cancer cells win, right? They outcompete the healthy cells, they take all the resources, but by winning, they end up destroying the very body that keeps them alive. Albert Tan's point is that when nations get stuck in that old win-lose game while the whole biosphere is collapsing around them, they're basically doing the exact same thing. So, let's just break that analogy down real quick. The planet, that's the host body. The countries, those are the cells. Now, when countries cooperate to keep the whole system healthy, they're like good functioning organelles. But when they just compete and try to win at all costs, they become cancer cells.
Look, this isn't just some abstract idea for a classroom. It's really a call to action. It forces every single one of us to think about, okay, what's our next move? What do we do now on this global stage?
Because at the end of the day, what symbiotic realism is really saying is that the whole point of the game has changed. The goal isn't for your country to win anymore. The new goal, the only goal, is to make sure the entire planetary organism, the whole system that keeps all of us alive, can actually survive and maybe even thrive. And so that leaves us with one final and pretty unavoidable question. In this giant, interconnected global body, what role are we going to choose? Are our nations going to be the healthy parts, working together to keep the whole thing alive? Or are we going to be the cancer that just consumes everything from the inside out? The choice, really, is ours.